Good evening, stargazers. This is Joe Grida, Technical Information Officer for the Astronomical Society of South Australia, here to present to you the sky this month for October 2021. So let's draw the curtains and bring out the sky. And here we have an all-sky view of our evening sky for October. Let's just do a little bit of a zoom in so we can see a bit better. And as you can see here, as we look towards the west, very, very brilliant Venus is shining in the western sky. By mid-month, as we'll find out very soon, Venus will be very close to Antares, the heart of Scorpius the Scorpion, and you'll be able to see the color contrast between the brilliant white Venus and the deep red of Antares. They'll make a nice view through binoculars. You can see the rest of the Milky Way is slowly slipping into the western sky early in the evening. Sagittarius is still a little bit higher, and as we look even higher up, there is the ring planet Saturn and the giant that is Jupiter there as well. These are still affording a lovely view through a telescope during October. As we move around the southwest, you can see that the pointers and the Southern Cross are now very, very low in the sky early in the evening. You won't be able to see them for too much longer. They will skirt the southern horizon and then start rising up into the southeast later on in the year. By early January, they'll be back up here and ready to start viewing again. Whilst we do lose the Southern Cross and the pointers, and of course with it the magnificent globular cluster Omega Centauri, which is now just below the horizon, as I indicated last month, never fear, because we've got 47 Tuc or NGC 104 just above the small Magellanic Cloud here to keep all of you globular cluster lovers quite happy. We've also got oops, what happened there? We've also got the globular clusters in Pavo and Ara that are still beautifully placed for observation. Eridanus, the river, with Achernar at one end, is now almost completely above the horizon during October. By very late in the evening, in late October, it will have completely risen, and the other end of Eridanus is found just very close to Rigel in Orion. And of course, Canopus is starting to rise in the southeast as well. Over in the northeast, we've got Cetus the whale and Pisces the fish making themselves seen quite regularly, although they are fairly faint constellations. So you really do need to be away from the light pollution of the city. At least find yourself a nice dark spot in the garden away from any lights where you will be able to see these two. Pegasus, the famed winged horse of Greek mythology, is beautifully placed for observation in the northern sky. The Great Square is very, very easy to see. At the end of the tip of the nose of Pegasus, there's another globular cluster, M15, which is a really nice view in a telescope. And of course, at the hind feet of Pegasus, you'll find the great Andromeda galaxy M31. Quite easy to see in binoculars Further north you go, the better view you'll get of that. And M33 over here as well. This is tilted. It's not face onto us. It's um, got about a 45-degree tilt to our point of view, whereas M33 is almost face on. But again, you need binoculars really to see them clearly. Although from a dark sky, a completely dark sky, you should be able to see both of those with the naked eye. Over in the northwest, Cygnus, the swan, is just starting to set. Grab a chance to have a look at Arperia. It's a magnificent a double star with orange and blue stars, easily separated even with a very small telescope. Lovely view in the telescope. So make sure you don't miss out on that before it disappears. Okay, let's move on. What's the moon doing during October? Well, again, as we've had for the last few months, dark sky in the evening is in the first half of the month, and then we've got the moon gracing our sky for the second half of the month. I notice that I've got a mistake here. It says moon and double stars, 13 to the 31st. It should say October, not September. Tut tut. So yeah, as I say, the first half of the month is when you should be taking advantage of the dark evening skies. So whilst you do have the moon in the sky, you might want to have a gaze at a lunar feature. And this month, I thought I'd pick on these three craters. Ptolemaeus, Alphonsus, and Ezekiel, that are almost smack dead center on the moon's face. Very, very easy to see. There they are. As I say here, all three craters are centrally located, and best seen on day 7 and 8 after a new moon. So around about the first quarter, or just past first quarter. This month, around the 13th and the 14th of October. If you're used to looking at the straight wall, they're not far from the straight wall. Generally, you find that you probably have all three of them in the same field of view as the straight wall in a low magnification view. So Ptolemaeus is the largest one. It's 153 kilometers in diameter. From the top of the rim to the floor of the crater, it's 2.4 kilometers deep, so it's quite deep. Named after a very famous Greek astronomer, Ptolemaeus, who proposed the geocentric model of the universe, where everything rotated around the Earth. The Earth was the center of the universe. And that theory actually stood for almost 1,500 years until Copernicus proposed the heliocentric model, where our solar system went around our sun and not centered on the Earth in 1543. It's quite a flat plain. Lava has filled that a long time ago, and some smaller craters have formed since then. Alphonsus, slightly smaller, 115 kilometers in diameter. It has a central peak. There are some faint rills that run across there, little cracks in the crater floor that will become apparent in good seeing. And Ranger 9 spacecraft crash landed there in March of 1965. Our last crater, Ezekiel, smaller again, 97 kilometers, very deep, 3.6 kilometers. The terraced walls are very, very easy to see under good seeing in a telescope. There are some 50-kilometer or so rills that run across the crater floor. It has a central peak as well. This is a great area to explore in your eyepiece. And there's a close-up picture from a lunar reconnaissance orbiter showing the terraced walls of Ezekiel. There's the rill I was referring to, and the central peak. And you can see how it's pockmarked with lots of tiny little craters. Some of those you'll see in good steady seeing. And the last crater I wanted to point out to you was this little one here called Muller, particularly because it has a little chain of craters that run across there that you should see under really good seeing. You should be able to pick those up. And you might remember that a few months ago I introduced you to the Davy chain of craters just here as well. Okay, the planets during October 2021. You can see the location of Earth. Mercury has now moved back to being almost a morning object. Venus is still highly placed in the early evening sky for us, and of course Mars is right on the other side of the Sun at the moment. We won't see it for another month or so when it reappears in the morning sky. And in the outer solar system, all of them, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are all evening objects. So if you're really so inclined, you could spend an evening. Well, finding Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune is an easy task. Pluto is a bit more difficult to pull out of the star fields that it's currently in, being so faint at almost magnitude 13.5. But a good challenge anyway. So talking of brighter planets in the sky, Jupiter and Saturn are the two most obvious ones, high in the eastern sky. Both of them are in Capricornus, very easy to find, and we'll come back to this area of Capricornus later on. So this is on the 10th of October at 9 o'clock in the evening. Point your telescope at Jupiter, and you'll be able to see the shadow, or the moon Io just there, and its shadow sitting over here. So have a look for that. Nicely happening at just 9 o'clock in the evening. As we look higher in the sky to Saturn, this is the view that you would see at around about the same time. Dione, Tethys, Iapetus, Enceladus, and Rhea should be easy to see in a low power field in your telescope. You should be able to see those without great difficulty. Of course, the rings are still nicely placed for observation, and if you move your field of view a little bit to the right here, and you'll be able to see the largest moon of Saturn, Titan, off to one side. The night before, on the 9th of October, again around about the same time, just before 9 o'clock in the evening, you'll see the moon and Venus, and Antares a little bit higher up in the western sky. They'll make quite a nice view. Here's an enlarged view with the very thin crescent moon, and there's Venus, and this is a Beta Scorpii or Dishuba in Scorpius. And whilst you're there, grab your telescope and have a look at Dishuba. It's a double star as well. The night after, the moon has moved a little bit higher, and you've got the moon very close to Antares. The crescent moon is enlarged a bit in 24 hours, so a bit more sunlight is hitting the face that we're seeing, and of course M4, the globular cluster near Antares, will be there as well. A few days later, on the 17th, Venus has moved a little bit higher up in the evening sky, and you find it very close to Antares. As I mentioned earlier, you see both of them in a pair of binoculars, and you'll be able to see the gorgeous color contrast between the brilliant white of Venus and the deep orange or red of Antares. Encourage you to really have a look at that. They're only 1.6 degrees apart, so easily fit in the field of view of your binoculars. A normal 7x50 binos, you've got a 7-degree field, so there'll be no problem whatsoever. There's a closer view, and it's labelled now. There's M4 over there. You may, because of the glare from Venus, M4 may be a little bit fainter, but train your telescope on it and you'll get a good view. Our multiple star of the month is Beta Capricorni. As I pointed out earlier, Saturn is up around here at the moment. We'll go to a sky view in a second. But Beta Capricorni is not a double star; it's actually a multiple star. In effect, there are five stars in the system. Beta Capricorni 1 is a triple star. So AA is the main star, and then you've got AB1 and AB2. AB1 and AB2 revolve around each other, and then that pair revolve around the main star. And then you've got the second star, which is a double in its own right, which revolves around the other three. It's quite an amazing, intricate a dance of those stars around each other. The 390 light years away. The main star, the B1 and B2, or Beta 1 and Beta 2, are about 0.34 light years apart. So because they're so far apart, they take nearly 700,000 years to complete an orbit around each other. Use a low power around about 60 times to separate the A star and the B star. They are 207 arc seconds apart, so they're about 3 minutes or 3.5 minutes apart. So a low power is all that's required. Unfortunately, you won't be able to pick up the other components. They are a lot fainter. But Beta 1 and Beta 2 will be easy to see. So there's a drawing there of what they look like, and here this drawing was made with a magnification of 48 times. As I said, don't use too much because the two stars are quite far apart, and they're yellow and blue. So again, beautiful color contrast with them. And there is Beta just up there. As I said, there's Saturn, and there's Beta just there. So as you're looking at Jupiter and Saturn, it's not much of a star hop to go to Beta Capricorni, just there. Our deep sky object of the month is M74, big beautiful spiral galaxy in Pisces. It's one of those galaxies that we see face on, so that we see the entire whirlpool shape of the galaxy in front of us. It's quite a large galaxy. It's almost a third the size of a full moon, So don't be fooled by the 9.1 integrated magnitude here. The surface brightness, when all that light from the galaxy is spread over that 10 arc minutes, dims it down to 13.8. So this is a galaxy that I really prefer you to try and look from a dark sky and use at least a 10-inch telescope to have a look at it. It's a bit smaller than the Milky Way galaxy. It's only 70,000 light years across, 32 million light years away, so it's relatively near. We mentioned the Andromeda galaxy earlier, which is less than 3 million light years away, so this is 10 times further. So it's near, but not quite that near. As I said earlier, it's nearly face on from our perspective. It was discovered by Pierre McCain in 1780, and then Messier included it in his catalogue in 1783. And it is the faintest of the objects in the Messier catalogue, of the 110 objects in the Messier catalogue. So it's quite difficult to observe visually. But these guys back in the 1780s were looking through a small telescope, but they were looking from dark skies. And that is going to make all the difference. So where is it? Well, here's the square of Pegasus, just here, rising in the northeast. Not very difficult to see at all. So even from a semi-light polluted sky, you'll still be able to pick up the square. If you sort of look straight down below Alcatraz in Pegasus, you'll be able to find the Andromeda galaxy there. There's a Terranium galaxy M33, and M74 is located just there. That's a bit of a closer up view. There are some nice doubles in Pisces as well, like 105 over here. And here's a lovely image by Jerry Macon of M74 in its full glory. Obviously, don't expect to be able to see it like that visually through your telescope. The bigger the telescope, the better the view you'll get. It does have a very active center, so the center does look quite bright, but unless you've got a nice dark sky, you will not be able to pick up these faint spiral arms. So that's your lot for this month. Get out there and do some observing. As always, I use the Stellarium software to generate all the charts that you've seen in this presentation tonight. And if you've got any questions, please email me. Get the latest information from our website about society activities. You can have a look on our YouTube channel where you can watch a replay of this presentation, and also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch up again with you next month.